Hi, we wanted to drop on and give you your resource for this week from Love Sober. And today we're going to be talking about addictive voice recognition technique. And this is like super, super important, whether you're in your early days of sobriety. Very, very important there, because things can get very, very confusing. Lots of different kind of voices in our heads telling us to drink or not to drink, and this is all really confusing. So addictive voice recognition comes from the work of Jack Trimpey. I want to call him Shrimpy. But he was the founder of Smart Recovery and wrote a brilliant book called Rational Recovery, which was really revolutionary at the time and is super helpful. So this idea of AVRT, addictive voice recognition technique, speaks directly to, you might know her as the wine witch or the beer monster or the vodka villain. It's that voice in your head that suggests that drinking is a really good idea. And this voice can be so manipulative. It can be your best friend, sound like your best friend. It can sound like really intimate. It can sound like it knows you really well. It can sound like it's got your best interests at heart. Go on, you deserve it. You know, it can go through all kinds of different scripts, if you like. And the way that we can really identify this, Jack Trimpey said, is it's any voice that suggests drinking is a good idea is the addictive voice, and that's how we call it out. And so important in the early days, because there's a lot of noise and it can be really, really confusing. So having that really clear guideline, that really clear boundary, so that you know when that's the voice that's kind of coming in, is super helpful.
Yeah, and he sort of described it as, you know, make it the enemy number one. So, you know, whenever you hear that voice that is like, you're being too hard on yourself, or, you know, so-and-so can moderate, or, yeah, you've done a couple of weeks now, that's really good, you know, or this has been a particularly stressful day, so, you know, just have one today and you can pick it up tomorrow. All of that needs to be seen as the enemy number one. And so the idea is, you know, that you create a character, something that makes you go, something that really kind of pulls you back into like alignment with what you really want. It could be, you know, for both Kate and I, was very much that wine witch was very much sort of from I keep forgetting
the Wizard of Oz. It was the green one.
You know, the Wicked Witch of the West. That's terrified me as a kid. I know it did for Kate too. You know, so that was a really strong image of that kind of cackle, that kind of manipulation. And so bringing that to, you know, the foreground of your mind and just being like, no, you know. And so the technique is really simple. It's just when you hear any noise, any sort of thing in your head that says, you know, you should drink, is just to say, no, I don't do that. That's not who I am. And then you know, close the door on it in your mind and you go on, you know, and do something else. You distract and do something else. You know, and the idea is very much like putting, you know, on the naughty step, you know, putting alcohol on the naughty step. And it's as the more you ignore it, the more that you don't react to it, the more, you know, you don't engage in argumentation about it. So, the quieter it gets, and it does get, you know. And I think the importance with this is not only when you get sober, but stay sober and love sober, is that there will always be, I mean, very rarely for us now, right, but there will oddly even occasionally be a moment where you will get a memory-based reaction and think about alcohol. You know, I had one quite recently. I mean, I never, ever, ever get triggered to drink. I never want to drink. But I was in the supermarket. I was super tired. I was on my own, really unique. I'd gone to the supermarket late. It was 7:30. And all of a sudden, I was in a position I hadn't been for a really long time. And I was hungry, which was a big trigger. And I just went, oh. And then I went, like, I don't want to do that. You know, but whenever that comes up, it's just like, no, like that kind of recoiling of your face, you know, using that sort of thing. That's just like,
yeah. There's a real element of a kind of almost like a forced quit, isn't there, as well? And I think we've discussed this, that as we go on and we build our sober toolkits and we get a bit more nuanced about meeting our needs and identifying what's underneath, that's the kind of longer term in a way, and it's so important, and that will come. But that first bit of just like that kind of forced quit, I almost say it's like fake it till you make it, because actually it's like you've said, Mans, like I couldn't believe, I saw people on the sober community saying, you know, you won't, it will go quiet after a few months, after a year.
Yeah.
It's like I was like, no, mine won't. It will always feel this hard. I will always be having to apply this amount of effort to shutting the door, to shutting the door, to shutting the door. That muscle power, that habit, you know, that habit change, muscle power. And actually what you're doing is you're force quitting that in a really conscious way. You're making it go quiet, and actually it will become automatic, because that habit of making it go quiet will become automatic over time.
So we wrote an article about this too, you know, and do sort of like, if this speaks to you and, you know, you're interested, there's loads of kind of information you can find about, you know, AVRT technique and Jack Trimpey. And, you know, just spend some time and create what's meaningful to you. What's that character? What does it look like? What's that kind of image that you can bring to mind where it just makes you recoil in kind of, you know, fear and, you know, and worry, and, you know, test it out, use it, see how it helps you. And we'll be back next week.
Bye.